Welcome, Traveler, to Season 9. How do the Horadric Spells work? Are they worth it? Are they fun? What about the Nightmare Dungeon Escalation? Or the new Strongrooms? How does the Season 9 gameplay loop look? And how strong is your character actually after all the nerfs? Is Season 9 worth it? Let me answer everything step by step by step. And let's not forget the new jewels, which are actually quite powerful. Now, first things first. What about the actual strong rooms? For this, you need a Nightmare Dungeon sigil. Preferable, it says strong room on it, because then there's 100% a strong room in. This one will have more gems with a sapphire reserve. This will have more vials. These vials are used to upgrade your spells, arcanas, and infusions. You could get one with Forgotten Wisdom. That would be bonus experience. Or Obol Reserve for more Obols. But we're now going into a strong room one. And the good thing is you can't miss the strong room. You're going to be normally playing through the Nightmare Dungeon. You do nothing different than you always do. You're going to pick up all the Obols that you're finding. You're just going to overall have a good time. And as you do this, at some point there will suddenly pop up a portal in front of you. Like this, suddenly it just appears. You activate the hidden gateway and you get attacked by monsters. Kill them all until you get the portal to walk through. It's unmissable. They're not suddenly spawning it in some side corridor. Every single one has pretty much just spawned on the main road throughout the dungeon. Killed all the minions, stepping through the portal. Gotta click it multiple times because for some reason it's not working very well. And then you get into this pre-room. In the pre-room, and I think it's completely unnecessary, you have to kill monsters to gather your first attunement. This is kind of to give you a feeling for how do things actually work. That being said, it just really feels redundant. Okay? Getting 2000 attunement will summon a special demon. Sure, I'm going to take this. You have to select 3 of these and they'll make what you do better, more efficient. You can gain more attunement. Okay, this will give me a special demon. Then Pillar will tether nearby monsters, killing them grants 2 attunement. Monsters can drop Swiftnet modes to move faster. For each shrine interacted, all monsters 50% more health. Kill tethered monsters to complete the ritual. That one is really good. And then also the bonus attunement. Now I've chosen 3 of them. It opens. As you already noticed, it feels a little bit like the root holds from before. You kill monsters, you open the sacrifice obelisk, and it gives you more monsters and your attunement is rising. Then we go to one of the rituals here, and this says now kill the shackled monster, the cage master, and the ritual will be done. Boom, ritual done. We're moving off to the next one. Cool. Next one, kill the monster again. All of this gives me attunement. The issue right now with this is it's kind of fun, yes, but I am missing some kind of progress bar. Because I don't actually know if I am doing well right now or if I'm not doing well. Right? Like, is now 1000 attunement good? Is 1000... Oh, he's not for some reason dying at all because he's too far away from the tether. That was weird. So yeah, I'm not sure if we're actually doing well. If now 1400 attunement is good or not. What I'm missing a little bit is a progress bar that the Undercity used to have. In the Undercity, you see like, oh, you're at stage 1, then you're at stage 2, you're stage 3, stage 4, and then you know you're actually going to get banger, better loot. Right now, I just don't know if getting another 1000 attunement will give me, that was the Butcher just spawning, will give me better banger loot, right? I have no absolutely view on what does this amount of attunement net to me. And that makes it a bit less exciting to actually gain the attunement because it's just some arbitrary value that I like. Does every 1000 attunement give me 1 more ancestral? Does it give me 2 more? Do I get a half more? Is every 2000 like, right? Also, this thing is not endless, so I can do the whole room as you see here. This is it. I've done every single pillar. I've done every single ritual and it's over. So I cannot get an X amount of attunement. There is a maximum amount. I can get like this 4000. I kill the boss and we're done. Cool. 4000 is also the highest I've ever gotten. I imagine if you're actually playing a Sork, someone that actually is fast at clearing, not a minion necro, you're going to be flying through this whole thing way faster. Now with 4000 attunement, I'm opening the chest. It reverts scales based on the amount of attunement. Good. And we're being showered with vials, okay? You need those vials to obviously upgrade your powers, but most importantly, you get a Nightmare Dungeon Escalation Sigil. These are the things that you need to do to get to Astaros, the new boss fight. Otherwise, the loot right now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. It's not bad, but I would prefer if there was a guaranteed ancestral or something. I mean, I'm doing the strong room, the new thing in the dungeon, the cool thing. And now you can go and just finish your Nightmare Dungeon normally. So obviously you still want to do this. One problem with the Stronger as well is it's not dropping any Opticide. I was actually assuming that strong rooms are a nice way to get bonus Opticide as you are doing them in a Nightmare Dungeon. And I think that is personally a grave oversight from Blizzard. Like, I should be getting either Opticide at the end of the strong room, on top of everything, or monsters actually should drop. Because if I am farming Opticide now, if I am trying to masterwork, then doing a stronghold is not efficient. The strong room nets me less Opticide per hour, right? So if I'm going for endgame progress, endgame character strength, you're nerfing yourself. Progress bar and the potential to gain Opticide would go a long way to make this activity then not feel like you're actually wasting your time in the end game. Luckily, this is the PDR, so we can give these amounts of feedback to see them improve it. While we're in this dungeon, let's throw an eye on the spells. Right now, I'm playing Propulsion. Propulsion creates a blast of mana, like this. It's currently bound to my Corpse Explosion because I can point my Corpse Explosion and cast it, no matter if there's a corpse or not. The Propulsion will actually do millions of damage. And I'm boosting this with Reactive Ooze, that invoking your Catalyst grants me more resource generation. I need this as I need full resource for my runes. It also gives me Barrier, a 50% barrier for 4 seconds, and I can use this every 4.3 seconds, which is not true. I can use it more often because I actually have a Horadric Jewel that says your Catalyst skill has 25% cooldown reduction. That allows me to use this every 4 seconds, pretty much. And then we have your Catalyst gains a specialized stun effect. While we also, with the Nebulous Extract, turn Propulsion into Shadow Damage, because Shadow Damage is pretty much what we're boosting, and if enemies are hit, they deal 10% less damage. Now, you can see that the Propulsion itself, boom, that was my Corpse Explosion Propulsion, does do sometimes up to hundreds of millions of damage. So I'm pretty much running through the dungeon, spamming my Corpse Explosion, and whenever it has this purple aura around, it does the Propulsion effect of slamming people into each other, of bamboozling them around. It is useful to engage, it is useful to trigger my barrier, as a Necromancer has gotten less survivally. But actually, with the power, I am continuously buried up, fully buried up, and I can survive any pit, any boss, any nightmare, anything. Like, there's actually 0 survival problems with the Necro, with Lucky Hit, and now the actual barrier power together with one of these in a very low setting. Now, I could also use, for example, the Disintegrate. Disintegrate would create a beam between me, and I can walk this through the enemies. I can do this every 5.3 seconds, and as you can see, it does actually 11 million damage. So that one can be scaled really nicely damage-wise up. Problem is damage over time, so you can't actually crit with it. That makes the Cosmic Anomalies technically a better choice. The Cosmic Anomalies would spawn every 5 seconds, be around you, do a lot of damage over time because I'm boosting the summoning damage. And if I actually activate my Army of the Dead, the summon damage goes bonkers. And then I could eat them in for 20 million. You know, like this, you can eat them in. And that critical strike would multiply up with all my damage multipliers, critical strike multipliers, all of it. Technically with Army of the Dead and then binding it to only Sever. But then it's going to take another 20 seconds for them to come back. And they sadly don't give me barrier that much. So I do prefer right now to just play the Propulsion or the Astral Pillar. The Pillar in this case creating like this taunting pillar that does damage to surrounding enemies. But yeah, this is kind of like how the powers work. And in order to get these and upgrade the powers, you need to go into the strong rooms. The strong rooms also drop something like a locket. And I'm not entirely sure how these work because this says use to earn vials, knowledge, and some experience orbs. Thing is, I could just spam this locket and it wouldn't stop. I think it's bugged because, like, why can't I just spam that thing? It's kind of cool, but most likely shouldn't exist this way. There's also a new bug or feature when it comes down to re-rolling your affixes, because for some reason, this item can re-roll the ultimate cooldown reduction temper. I could re-roll the int, maximum life, or the attack speed, usually, but in this case, I can actually re-roll ultimate cooldown reduction, which prior was never possible. I assume it's a bug, but I want to bring this up for discussion because how cool would it be if you could actually re-roll your temper, if you could put money in to make it as high as possible, if you already have the perfect stats. I mean, if I have int, max life, attack speed, the things I need, then the only thing I want to re-roll is potentially my tempers to get the most summon damage or the most cooldown reduction. Kind of defeats the purpose of the temper limit. On the other hand, it would be kind of cool. We'll get to Nightmare Dungeon Escalation in a second. First, let's talk about the new jewels. The recipes for these you unlock through doing Strongrooms. As far as we understood, we get all the recipes already. For my build, I'm using one that gives my Catalytic skill cooldown reduction. Then I get 6% more core scat and 8% more max life, and I'm unhindered. I can just zoom through everything. Cool. And lastly, after you injure 35% or kill an enemy, your summons are empowered for 30 seconds. Nice. Feels good. I'm having fun with it. I could also make sure that my infusions are 150% more potent, that my Catalytic skill deals 33% weapon damage of your infusion's element over 3 seconds. For each Arcana from a unique skill you have equipped, gain damage reduction and resistance to all elements. That's nice. I can prevent fatal damage. I can deal 20% more elemental damage and take 10% more. They're kind of fun to use, and they give me armor and resistance to all elements. I'm also fully armored and resistanced out. That's amazing. Thank you very much. Now to the cool thing, a Nightmare Dungeon Escalation. This is supposed to be an alternative to the Infernal Hordes. Infernal Hordes, you would spend 15 minutes to get like, what, 4,000-6,000 Opticide. And then we have the Nightmare Dungeon Escalation. You open this like a complete normal Nightmare Dungeon, and you only get them from doing Strongrooms. You can't like craft them. You do Strongrooms, and you get yourself the Escalation Sigils. Probably it would be good to take your friends with you so they get this experience. Then you play normally through the Nightmare Dungeon. Keep in mind that while you normally play through this Nightmare Dungeon, there might still be a Strongroom appearing. So that's a good thing, because you could, while doing the Nightmare Dungeon, actually get a Nightmare Dungeon Escalation Sigil. You also do have to play the Nightmare Dungeon normal. So nothing changes about the actual Nightmare Dungeon. So if I now have to collect Animus to finish this, I have to collect Animus to finish this. Which already brings up a negative point of the Nightmare Dungeon Escalation, because there are some Nightmare Dungeons that I really don't wish to do, because they're boring. They have boring objectives, they have boring designs, they're just terrible in general. With the Nightmare Dungeon Escalation, you're going to finish the one Nightmare Dungeon, then you're going to be teleported into the next and the next. And you're going to do these 3 consecutive in a row. I mean, obviously all Nightmare Dungeons are equal in terms of Opticide, right? All of them drop Opticide. Therefore, it's only down to personal preference if you enjoy or not enjoy said dungeon. But just be aware that you'll have to play every awful design they have, and there are truly some annoying ones with annoying goals to do. That's probably the one negative point. Otherwise, just play through Nightmare Dungeon 1, and I'll show you how it looks at the end. We did not get a Strongroom so far. That's a bit of a sadness, but hey. Not every Nightmare Dungeon does have a Strongroom, unless it specifically states that the Nightmare Dungeon has a Strongroom, and that affix your Nightmare Dungeon Escalation can have as well. And now we finish the dungeon, and we get the teleport to next dungeon. It also shows you the road ahead. I get a Forgotten Wisdom, I get a more Opticide, I get monster burning damage and suppressing elites. You have to do this 2 more times now, so clear 2 Nightmare Dungeons in a row, while you pick up all the Opticide that you're getting while you're just going through as fast as possible. You can definitely do this faster than an Infernal Horde because you're time gated with an Infernal Horde. Shortly before the boss, I actually did get a Horadric Gateway, which means this Nightmare Dungeon Escalation is going to give me another Nightmare Dungeon Escalation Sigil so I can keep doing Nightmare Dungeons Escalations. You're likely, if you want to, stuck in this. You can just keep doing and doing and doing and doing and actually don't have to do another activity. After you're done with a 3rd Nightmare Dungeon, Greater affixed item. You can now interact with the pedestal, and it will teleport you to Astaroth. Now let's check if the Astaroth loot is worth it. His fight is kind of cool. You just walk up, he instantly attacks you. He does have the doggy. You have to kick him off the doggy, which happens quite quick, but we're also a maxed out character with 100 runes and everything, right? So he is supposed to die quick. And then if I'm not misunderstanding, his dog would actually resurrect, but we're just killing that a little bit too fast. And now the loot is good, but not insane. Also, there's a bug where you take damage after killing him. So I just die. That was 2 greater affix and 2 normal legendaries. What I do feel like is the man should drop quite more. Because I just made my way through 3 nightmare dungeons to get here. I did the equivalent of an Infernal Horde. I did get some Opticide, not too much because I don't have a pet that actually picks up everything on the test server. It's a bit of a mistake. You get quite some Opticide. And I feel like you should get a bit more loot as we're really taking some effort into our hands to actually get this done. After this whole journey, you feel like you want to get rewarded. He should drop guaranteed a greater affix item, if not 2, because then he would be like the greater equipment chest that you get in the Infernal Horde. And he should probably drop a chunk of Opticide as well, since the Nightmare Dungeon Escalation is supposed to be an alternative to the Infernal Hordes. And right now the conclusion kind of is, unless I still need to level up my powers, I'm not going to spend time in the Nightmare Dungeon Escalation, right? If I have my powers done, if I have what I need, if I have it upgraded, if I have all the files, you won't see me in a Nightmare Dungeon again, as with the lacking Strongrooms, and not seeing like the attunement bar, and missing like some excitement there, and Astaroth not giving good loot, it wouldn't be worth it. So that's something that Blizzard should definitely tweak to then boost Season 9 further. Now, what about personal character power after all these nerfs? We're playing a mini Necro with the Hand of Nas where I make super Archmages, and I have every single aspect maxed out, so that's a lot of damage, 50, 200%, the almost maximum damage ring of men down. So this is a not perfect character, but it's getting in that direction, and we have tons of Paragon points spent, plus all our glyphs are 100. That makes for a substantial amount of damage. Now, summons did lose 150% damage multiplier that we had last season, since we're losing the boss powers. And my boss powers are currently not meant for damage, they're meant to amplify my defense so I can just survive more. Now, every good build should be able to kill Belial, and obviously builds get nerfed, so we're gonna spam him here with our Corpse Explosion, we're gonna do the Corpse Tendrils, we're gonna do the Blight on him, don't forget to activate the Army for the Dead, there was a 5 billion hit, so we can still do into the billions. The highest I've seen so far is actually 10 billion. So I haven't gone over 10 billion. I don't know if that's sad or good, right? Because 10 billion still sounds like absolutely plenty to me. Righto? He dies. He doesn't die as quick as last season. That is Mini Necro though. I'll have to try out some overpower builds. You're getting it done. You're still strong. I can still do pit 65. I can still do pit 75. I could probably go further than pit 75. We have to make sure that we get greater affix to mastery and masterwork this, to masterwork the Hellbound Commander. But masterworking is anyways broken right now because you can get the triple masterwork way too easy, and I can get 2 triple masterworks because this one is 12 times masterwork, but you don't see a blue one because for some reason my Skeletal Mage attacks cast twice is also 4 times masterworked or something like that. Yes, I said 4 times. It is plenty weird. Characters are still powerful though. But as a conclusion right now, the spells don't feel fun and impactful enough compared to the boss powers because you saw them more. I mean, these are probably pretty much happening on the side. I just spam this and it just happens and gives me barrier. Cool, it solves a problem. I pretty much think there is a way to turn these into absolute damage monstrosities. So sure, you could do something. You could also make the Disintegrate go crazy and then have your damage over time actually stack up further. But if these powers get too strong, we know that they're going to nerf them because they don't want powers to be the main damage. They want your character to the main damage. Right now, they're really utilitarian. You pretty much set it up once, as soon as you have it unlocked, and then you never look at that screen again. The gems are quite exciting because they really make your character more powerful and allow to change your playstyle. After you deal damage over time, the enemy takes more damage over time from you forever. That one stacking up, for example, is crazy good. And if you then use this more damage over time Tyrant's Bane together with a Disintegrate that also does damage over time, and then actually boost your damage over time, and you made the Disintegrate, for example, be a Shadow skill, and then you have the Wither node that has your Shadow skill's chance to explode for bonus damage, maybe. Those are all things that are possible. All in all, Season 9 is so far less exciting than Season 8, and a lot of people were already not excited for Season 8. There is a seasonal track 2 that starts in Karagar and sends you on multiple quests, and I haven't done them because one of them is actually bugged, the Reopening the Wound. It doesn't continue, sadly, so I can't show you what's happening there. But yeah, there is going to be seasonal progress. I've been getting already Reputation. I mean, as I spam then my amulet here, you could see Tier 7 earned. The Wayfinder has new rewards to claim. Thank you very much. There are going to be the rewards again. And you still have the updated boss ladder. I think it's going to be fun to play around with the Nightmare Dungeon escalations, but they really have to take it up a notch to just make the whole thing feel more exciting. What do you think about what I've shown you? Is this something you're going to be interested in? Are you going to be returning to have some fun with the Horadric Strongrooms Spells Astaroth? The fight actually being cool and quite challenging if you don't have a completely maxed out character. So I'm looking forward to a normal progression into that too. To then fight my first Astaroth for real and see some of his mechanics. But we're obviously just blasting him right now. Tell me in the comments below and see you in the next video.